let's talk about Incantation, Netflix's latest found footage horror movie exported all the way from Taiwan. Directed by Kevin Ko, this one has been a booming success, becoming the highest grossing Taiwanese horror film, and is inspired by true events. The events in question surround a 2005 incident where a family of 6 people claimed they had been possessed by demons, masking themselves as deities. After 5 of the family attacked each other constantly, they eventually turned on the eldest daughter, who died from sustained injuries, and after a legal process, the case was labelled as the result of mass hysteria. Incantation makes use of this tale to its advantages to craft a good little horror film, though by no means perfect, and I'm now going to share my own personal thoughts and feelings about it. As I'll be discussing key plot details, there will be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. Incantation's story only takes bits and pieces from the original tale, cherry-picking its elements. As such, what we end up with is a woman named Ronan, who is the mother to a young girl named Dodo. We jump back and forth between 2 time periods. Firstly, we see a younger Ronan who is part of a gang of YouTubers that, under their channel name Strange Murmurs, investigate suspicious, dangerous and mysterious places. This is what leads them to a small village where there's one of these strange locations they want to document, as well as the villagers being ritualistic, which also sparks their interest and their cameras. Ronan, as well as her fellow YouTubers Dom and Ewan, are asked to submit their names to the deity, the Mother Buddha, said to be a malicious spirit that protects those who recite its incantation. The crew break a religious taboo while in the village, and a whole manner of creepy events take place. As the story of Incantation is told in a non-linear format, I'll jump to present-day Ronan, who is experiencing Dodo going through some mysterious possessions of her own. So by the film time hopping, we have a gradual build-up to the reasons why Dodo is possessed, as well as what happened in the village with the crew. It's actually quite a neat storytelling method that you don't often get in these found footage type films. They're very often a start to finish affair, so this one at least has a little extra in it to engross you. On the whole, I'm not a particular fan of found footage films. There are some definite standouts, such as the Creep films by Mark Duplass, but on the whole I'm not overly fussed by them. One main nitpick that I always have is that if you're going to go along with the kayfabe and believe that the footage is real, in a real life situation, not many people would try to perfectly film being stalked by demons. In Incantation, at times, the camera work is way too clean and sturdy to a point where it doesn't really feel totally authentic, which of course it's not authentic, but the film paints a world where it's meant to be. So there's always going to be a double-edged sword of being shakier and more realistic, yet not as nice to watch and a strain on your eyes, or be nice and smooth but takes away some of the realism. So I'm kinda in the middle on how Incantation is filmed. In terms of the story here, what you're effectively looking at is a blend between Paranormal Activity, The Grudge and Grave Encounters, as well as some shades of folk ritualistic horror films like Midsommar or The Wicker Man. I was a lot more intrigued by what was going on in the village side of the story compared to the modern day Dodo side of the story. I think the way we know that Ronan obviously gets out of the village alive takes some level of suspense away from that segment, and I think the film's most exciting and visually striking moments pop up in the village. I'd have preferred the entire film taking place there, in all honesty. I do think the film is a little too padded in parts, and comes in, including the credits, at around the 1 hour 50 mark. That's a very thick film for what this movie is, and I'd have much preferred it to be half an hour or so shorter to make it a bit punchier in parts. However, there is a lot about Incantation I admire from a filmmaking stance. My favourite element to the entire thing is a string of narrations by Ronan where the film directly links to the viewer. It shows you those kind of clips that can move one way or the other depending on how you make your brain see it, and you can control the direction with focus. We're also given the incantation to memorise and recite, and also a symbol that we are given to look at and commit to memory. I love all of these parts. You really get wrapped up into these moments and become a part of the film itself. This level of audience interactivity is a bit of a lost art when it comes to filmmaking in general, though was rather popular in William Castle's time for a number of years.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do not panic, but scream. Scream for your lives!
Of course, what we learn come the film's end is that the incantation you've been getting asked to recite, well, we finally receive its translation on screen, and learn that it is a completely different meaning to what is initially presented. At first, reciting the incantation means that the person is inviting the curse in to be a carrier of it, and if you then continue to recite the incantation, you're conveying blessings to the Mother Buddha. However, we learn that the incantation actually helps to spread the curse, but the burden on those carrying it is lessened. What an inspired concept for a religious curse. You have to devote yourself to it, told to recite the words, but in doing so, more people share the curse, but with a lessened effect, so it's not as noticeable, meaning that the Mother Buddha's power can spread further out, yet be less detectable. What a brilliant idea that is, and it's fascinating to consider. The fear factor in this film is pretty solid, with some extended tense sequences and barely lit locations, combined with some gross out elements like bugs popping up here and there, and Madam Cheng rubbing the back of her head to leak and spread blood all over her hair. Of course, you get a couple jump scares here, par for the course really, but nothing really freaked me out other than the concept of the incantation's meaning and seeing the face of the Mother Buddha come the film's climax, which reminds me of when Pennywise opens his face and we see the deadlights. It's great stuff. One bizarre little moment I want to mention from the English dubbed version of the film, a news report states a naked girl was discovered lying naked, wearing nothing but her undergarments. So hang on, the naked girl was lying naked. You don't need to say naked twice there, but then by wearing undergarments, she's by definition not naked. This funny little moment just stuck out to me. Overall, Incantation had some solid ideas in there, but I feel like it would have made for a better experience overall, not delving into the Dodo storyline and focusing purely on Strange Murmurs and the village, which in itself would have shaved that chunky runtime down by quite a margin. There's some really eerie visuals here, and at its core, it's a mystifying folk horror concept that was executed rather well, and the audience engagement parts were truly wonderful to be a part of. Incantation is by no means the greatest found footage movie ever made, but a case can be made for it being one of the strongest entries to the genre for a considerable number of years. But what do you lot think of Incantation? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to help the Unleash the Ghouls curse spread to even more hosts, then pledging your allegiance to the Mother Ghoul would be much appreciated. I'm Connor, cheers for checking this video out, and I'll catch you around for more honest reviews. Cheers out!